T-Mobile is going back to $60 per month pricing for the home internet service. All right, so new customers looking to switch to T-Mobile 5G home internet will be paying more. No longer a promise that the carrier won't raise rates again in the future. So there's two things that are happening in this announcement. A price increase, sort of. It's kind of like a return to old pricing. And then the price lock guarantee no longer exists. And again, I want to preface this again because I said it already. I said it in my video earlier. Dude, you know what's crazy? I know I speak very clearly. I know that I use very descriptive language, and people still somehow miss the most important elements that I discuss in my videos. And I think what happens is they don't watch the whole thing. They just start typing. But I clearly said in my video earlier today, new T-Mobile home internet customers only. Existing T-Mobile home internet customers are not impacted by this. So
Yet.
just throwing that out there. Right. But that's what we know, Moose. That's the details we got. Right. So T-Mobile has confirmed that they are going to increase the cost of the T-Mobile home internet to new customers to $60 per month. So previously it was 55, right? And that price increase represents, I mean, I call it a nominal increase. It's not massive. It's $5. Home internet to me, and I know Dennis, you feel the same way, is a utility. We treat it like water. We treat it like electricity. It's like a requirement in order to compete in the workplace, in order to do your job, in order to be educated, in order to engage, entertainment, connectivity, communications, all those things. New changes for the T-Mobile home internet pricing will begin January 18th. $60 per month includes a $5 auto pay discount. So actually, it'll be $65 if you don't put in a checking account or debit card for auto pay. And we know
Which
about
is
the
which is
breaches and all that stuff.
yeah, which is risky to do. Sneed, I have a question. I'm sorry to interrupt.
Go ahead, bro.
So, do you remember what the pricing is for home internet with Verizon?
I do.
So, what are the pricing? I know they have two plans. What are the
They do.
pricing?
$60
So
$70.
what's the pricing with the auto pay?
I think auto pay is a $10 discount.
All right. So what is it? 50 and 60?
Let me just double check because I know they've done a price increase as of August.
Yeah, I thought it was 45 and 55, but I don't know for sure. That's why I wanted
Yeah, and I want to make sure I do this because I know some folks are gonna, watch this and want to know the exact pricing. Okay, so looking at the base pricing, it's $35 a month if you have the wireless service. For the entry level plan, it's $45 for the plus plan. Why are they only okay? So yeah, 45 for the 5G Home Plus, 80 without any discounts. So no auto pay, no bundling, $80 a month for the plus, and 60 for the regular 5G Home with no discounts. So if you go ahead and auto pay, that'll save you $10 a month. And if you bundle with mobile and home, it saves you $15 a month.
Okay.
So that's pretty good. So that's up to $25 off. That's a pretty, but that's the way to do it. And the same thing with T-Mobile. If you bundle with them, they'll give you $10 off any plan that you have with T-Mobile. And if you have like their newer Go 5G plans, they'll give you 25 off, I think.
Okay. So in your mind, Sneed, would you say that pricing between those two carriers is relatively competitive?
Yes. Now the one thing I'll give Verizon the edge on is the fact that they offer a plus tier option.
Agreed.
I think that is valuable. That brings value to the service. So I think that's a distinguishing factor. Also, just the simple fact of the network access, right?
Agreed.
QoS, QCI, port forwarding, NAT settings, and all those things. I still think Verizon's looks and feels like a real broadband option.
Agreed. So we have yet another product that is competitively priced, right? Well, I mean, we kind of just agreed that competitively priced between both of these particular carriers.
Yes.
So competitive pricing on the mobility plans for your phone services and whatnot, competitive pricing with the home internet. What are we talking about?
Well, the pricing is one thing, B, but check this second part out.
Okay.
Existing T-Mobile home internet users will not see their prices increase, with the carrier having previously introduced a price lock promise of not raising prices for existing users. However, new users will get a price lock promise, but in a different way. They're not going to get to keep their pricing if the prices go up in the future. They will have the option of having T-Mobile pay the last month of service so they can leave and churn and go somewhere else if they don't want to pay the new price when T-Mobile raises prices on them in the future. So basically, not only is T-Mobile raising prices, but they're also abandoning price lock as it's previously structured. And last I checked, I think Verizon still is doing like a 3 to 5 year price guarantee.
Mhm.
So
This feels
T-Mobile's
really
actually moving in a
dirty.
different direction.
This
Of
feels
course they
really
are.
dirty. Like, what do you mean? Price lock means what? Instead of us just not bending you over in the future, we're gonna bend you over and you have the chance to leave, and we'll say hasta la vista. Like, what is that's not a price lock.
So hear me out on this, EM, and I obviously want to get your opinion on this. I believe that T-Mobile wants the ability to pull the same lever that Spectrum and Comcast and Verizon has pulled in the past. They have pulled those levers. However, the reason I don't think T-Mobile should have a right to pull that lever, I don't think their 5G home internet is very good. If I had to categorize T-Mobile's 5G home internet, it's obviously lesser than Verizon's. It's nowhere near a wireline connection. It's the weakest of all the offers. I
Yet
know some
they're
people say it works for them and it's good, but it doesn't look and feel like a real 5G home solution. And I'm Dennis, I know you've got all the details on how all that stuff works with respect to home internet and broadband, but like if you're going to act like a home broadband provider, can I get a speed guarantee? Can I get an uplink guarantee? Can I have port forwarding? Can I have, a NAT that I can control? Can I actually have like real home broadband tools and technologies? And can I get a better CPE? Or do I have to continue to deal with overheating trash can Nokia gateways? Can I even get an external antenna so my connection could be more stable? Can I have those things? Because if the answer is no, I can get those things from other providers.
Yeah, I
So
think
what's your
even
prediction?
Josh puts a good thing out there. AT&T Internet Air is better. Like it is a better solution for broadband than even the T-Mobile offering. I don't understand why it's taken them so long to get those basic broadband features.
I
What's
believe,
taking them so long? They don't have to. They can give
I
people
believe,
sub.
tell me if you agree with this statement. I'm going to let you go. I believe that T-Mobile is working off of equity they have with the consumer public. People still think that T-Mobile is a name that they can trust. Uncarrier, John Ledger, they came and disrupted the game. I think they're still gaining customers off of that.
I completely agree.
Because if you're using the T-Mobile home internet, I mean, I know so many people that have returned it because of, it just wasn't working out. It wasn't a quality experience. The CPE was a problem. There's so many X factors. And then T-Mobile tells us we're not dumping capital into our 5G home internet solutions. We're capital light. Go ahead.
I mean, you're right, Sneed. And to be honest, that's the part that makes me scratch my head because they've built a subpar product compared to their competitors, and they've told us we're not going to fix it, and we're not going to put any more additional capex into trying to improve it. We're just going to use quote unquote fallow capacity, if there is such a thing. So, yet and still, they continue to grow, right, Moose? They continue to grow. So,
Yeah.
what's the incentive for them to improve if they got the customer pretty much duped? They're going to continue to grow, right?
I'm good with paying for more chicken, but I'm going to need more chicken, damn it.
Exactly. Are they going to provide the chicken that they? I mean, They're not interested in doing that anymore. So, yet continue to grow. The customers continuing to reward them. And I think, to your point, Sneed, I think you're right. They're still living off the equity of the past. How much longer is that going to continue to be a thing? I just told you guys, and I mean, the data's there. You guys, feel free to fact check me. They had a churn bubble last quarter too. Their churn increased to 0.87. I'm not making that up. That's what they reported. I know 0.03 of a point, still the difference between them and Verizon. I get it. I know we're gonna, really chomp on the bit and say Verizon's the worst, but we're talking about 0.03 of a point.
See, there's so many different things here. I've been listening in on this one, and I have very strong opinions about T-Mobile home internet, and I don't believe that it's worth $60 or sorry, $65, and then with auto pay it's 55.
What's it worth,
whatever.
Moose?
I completely agree.
I
Moose,
believe
what's it worth?
that T-Mobile home internet, because of how light, quote unquote, light it is, and by the way, the phones are going to be ripping on me on this one, and I don't care. Okay, I really don't care. This is a glorified hotspot. That's all it is. It's a goddamn trash can. Okay? It does not have the advanced features or even the basic features of a standard Wi-Fi router. Port forwarding, NAT type, all these other things that we keep talking about, man. Like, this is some basic goddamn stuff, man. Like, no joke. By the way, do you think that it has all the latest and greatest technology of the Wi-Fi 6 standard?
It might, but
It
that's
does
not the
not have
problem.
it. It
But
doesn't
okay,
have it.
so it doesn't have it. But like Moose, what you're talking about with the service, I mean, they're not putting money into the service. Like they're really, and actually, here's where things kind of distinguish themselves between Verizon and T-Mobile in this. Verizon doesn't have a 10% convergence rate between mobile service adoption and the 5G home internet. Like they're not seeing that convergence for them yet. They haven't seen it. I think T-Mobile's very different. I think T-Mobile customers flock to this service. They really do want to see if it could work for them, and they do want to try it. I mean, I would estimate that their convergence rate is probably 3x that of Verizon's.
I mean, it should be. It should be. It's been out longer. I mean, it should
Exactly.
Their sellers are
Factor.
incentivized
Absolutely.
to sell it, sometimes forced to sell it. The foot traffic at T-Mobile stores is significantly higher than Verizon. I mean, there's so many different reasons, man. It's not just the fact. I mean, there's so many different things that I can say there. I don't think that people are compared to the people that are walking into a store that are being pitched on the product. I don't think that people are Googling, oh, what's my alternative options? And they see a commercial. They most likely will see a commercial of Verizon home internet nowadays than T-Mobile home internet. The Super Bowl is going to have significant amounts of FWA from Verizon. The latest wildcard games have had a significant amount of FWA from Verizon.
I have seen T-Mobile advertisements as well, Moose.
No, it is true. It is true, but it's been an established business, and if you haven't tested it out by now, or you're not going to test it out, as it's very unlikely you're going to test it out. More than likely, you're going to test out. If you're going to Google, do I have fiber? You're more likely to Google if you have fiber in my home, right? But again, it goes back to, guys, if you don't care and you just need a basic internet connection, you go with T-Mobile FWA. But if you need a significantly more sophisticated option, and Verizon is an option, right? Verizon FWA, you go with Verizon FWA. Very soon, we're going to be seeing an expansion of Internet Air from AT&T, where every majority of the DSL, right, 50 and under, is going to be activated. That's going to be interesting to see what's going to happen then. And is it off the speculation train that maybe AT&T might follow Verizon and do a QCI 8 option for $20 more. You know, you never know. There's so many damn possibilities with FWA, but it's a DSL option at the end of the day. You can't guarantee. That's the other thing that a lot of people forget. There is no guarantees on FWA, and there never will be, because what happens if that cell site is down and the other one that is up is taking on significantly more load? So you are going to be connected, but it's going to be so slow.
I think the only level of guarantee you can get is with millimeter wave.
I'd
Yep.
like to quickly jump in because there's been a lot of good points being mentioned. First, though, before I get into my points, I just want to say that I called this the moment we talked about fixed wireless for the very first time. We had discussions about how, T-Mobile, a lot of people believe T-Mobile was going to be different than other telco companies. And we said the same thing about Verizon with their fixed wireless products. I called it the moment they had the opportunity to increase prices, they would do the same actions that every other telco provider does today. And T-Mobile, we saw this creep up earlier when T-Mobile started offering the data bucket plans in the areas where they didn't have the mid-split upgrades. And now we're seeing it now on their unlimited product.
They did wait for cable to go up first before
they did
it.
They did, but now that they've done this change to the price lock guarantee, it won't surprise me if the next thing we see is aggressive promotions whenever they're seeing uptick slow, aggressive promotions that have the quote unquote explosive pricing that we hated. And the reason why is because despite what everyone on this panel and everyone in the community and thinks, that's what ends up driving sales with consumers.
But Dennis, that ain't explosive though, that rate.
Well, we don't know what the aggressive price point is. Maybe it's fixed wireless is free for 12 months when you sign up for Magenta Max, and then it goes up to $60. I mean, that's a big increase. Or maybe it's $25 again. And it's
explosive pricing is like, when I think of that, I think of what cable does when they go from, the 50 or 60 promotional rate to 120.
Yeah,
to me, that's explosive.
Well, that's doubling the cost, right? But in my example, if you were at 25 and got bumped up to 60, you've doubled the cost. It's just we're talking about slightly different numbers. And that's 60 today, right? I guarantee you.
So you're saying that there will come a point where if you have the converged bundle where you have both services, you think they'll go up to 60?
100%.
Okay. All right.
100%. If they get the justification to do it, they will do that. But leading on to the actual points now that the panel talked about. So, Sneed, you were talking about the home internet experience, and Moose, you talked about how T-Mobile home internet's like a hotspot. You're both correct. T-Mobile, at least at a network level, currently today cannot offer a true home internet experience. Like, we're gonna have to wait until they figure out their standalone core situation, because the way their fixed wireless solution is currently set up is all their IP addresses are IPv6 addresses, so they have to do carrier grade NAT to generate IPv4, since that's still what a lot of websites and various things utilize. And then you got the router that's doing the localized NAT, which is causing a double NAT type issue, plus the lack of the settings. Sneed, there is an external antenna now that's offered. T-Mobile took that feedback. Their new modems actually have the antenna ports externally available to customers, and they sell an antenna product that you can buy.
They sell it, or do they give it?
No, they sell it. You have to buy it separately. Yeah, you have to buy it separately. As far as the talks about the fixed wireless products that are on the market, I agree with what everyone said, with Verizon being at the top, clearly and undisputed, because of the fact that they have priority data and because of the fact that they allow for port forwarding and some other aspects. I actually don't know if AT&T is necessarily better than T-Mobile, because to my understanding, it's still bottom of the barrel on the network as well. But I know the gateway is better. So
yeah, but QCI, so the one thing that I will give AT&T some props, their QCI system is the best in the industry.
Agreed.
Like just their setup, the way they have it and the way that it works, it seems to be the best. Verizon has done a nice job because they've basically given 5G home internet QCI 7 type access. So they're nailing that respect. T-Mobile's 5G home internet has lower priority than a free line on T-Mobile.
Oh, yeah.
It has lower priority than the hotspot data on a free line on T-Mobile. Do you get what I'm saying? Like, we are literally talking about the residue of the network. If, like, let's say there's some type of a shindig going on at the local park, you're done on T-Mobile home internet. Like if 100 extra devices connect to that sector, you're through.
Sure. Two more quick points. I agree on the need for speed tiers, and I've talked about the need for that when you're talking about a home internet product. And EM, I agree with you that in order for the fixed wireless providers to be able to do that, they would have to densify to a point where there is redundant overlapping coverage, so you don't run into a situation where if the cell site goes down, you're connecting to 1-2 miles away. And then the last thing I was just going to quickly touch on was that oh shucks, I forgot what my last point was. Oh well, but yeah, I agree with most of the things that people are saying on the panel, and that's my points.
Good
So,
stuff, guys.
I want to
Go ahead, Lou.
pose a question. So we've been talking about, for years now, the evolution from the 4G to the 5G era, and one of the big things that everyone talks about is network slicing. Why should a carrier why should they emphasize a higher QCI on a fixed wireless plan that someone would potentially pay more for when they're just going to implement network slicing anyways? You see what I'm saying? Like, you cut off a slice for your FWA subscribers, it's dedicated, and that's your QCI. That replaces that QCI. So like offering a lower QCI for a plan that you might pay a premium for doesn't really it's gonna be, what's the word I'm looking for? Outdated.
Well, so here's my perspective on that. I think customers should be able to pay for a slice, not for a QCI. I don't think it has to be like, oh, well, you're on 5G home, so you're going to be on this slice. Well, that's a network management tool for the carrier. But if I'm a customer who wants a slice, enterprise business, that to me sounds much more exclusive. And if I'm getting a slice, I don't just want a throughput slice. I want a latency slice. I need more. I'm not going to pay double or triple the cost of a consumer line or consumer data access, and to be on the same slice or to have the same slicing rules. I need a degree of separation. You know what I'm saying, Am?
No, I got you. That you make a good point there.
Yeah, the
And
latency is a big. I
go
was
ahead,
just
Dennis.
gonna,
Go
I was
ahead.
gonna quickly say the latency is a big one, but on top of that, when you're talking about these slices, and there should be additional features available to the business or enterprise customer, right? Like maybe you don't allow consumers to access port 40, so because you don't want them running servers or email hosting, but that should definitely be an option that's available to pay for on a business line. In the same way that when we talk about traditional telco, the rules are different. I don't know if Verizon does this, but I know in the case of Comcast in certain circumstances, they'll literally have separate nodes and separate taps and really urban environments where the business users are literally getting their own dedicated capacity, just because of the fact that there are like legitimate SLAs with that product and solution.
You're
'Cause, like,
talking about
here's what
like
I envision happening.
Metro Ethernet service. Yeah.
Here's what I envision happening. I envision a situation where someone wants like a private network type access, and you got one device and it's pulling off uplink. If you got 300 down and 20 up as your quote unquote throughput availability, I get 10 devices on that network. Somebody's going to be buffering. Somebody's going to have a messed up video call, especially if half of those devices are connecting for uplink. Especially if I've got like security cameras that are uploading constantly, at a 4K video resolution or even a 1080p, whatever it is, right? So I'm going to need something else. That's where I think those types of strategies, tools, solutions kind of come into play.